Welcome to Interviews with Innocence, a podcast about spirituality, consciousness, and exploring the wisdom our children bring into this world. I believe that our very young children are our greatest teachers. After all, they're the masters of living in the present moment, bubbling in unconditional love, enjoying the messiness of life, and curious about the universe in all its dimensions. The pure essence that young children exhibit lives within all of us. My hope is that these interviews will help us discover, embrace, and connect with the sacred core of childhood that resides within each of our hearts. I am your host, Marla Hughes. I am happy and excited to have Martina Drassl on the show today. Martina was born in 1975 and grew up in South Tyrol, a border province in the north of Italy, close to Switzerland and Austria. She speaks German, Italian, English, and Spanish. I am so jealous. After many years of work experience as a hotel receptionist and youth coordinator, she moved to the Peruvian Andes, where she coordinated a nonprofit organization for sustainable development and cooperation. In 2009, Martina's healing journey with the Amazonian master plants began. She worked for extensive time periods as a facilitator in the retreat center Nahurao in Iquitos, Peru. She studied somatic experiencing trauma release in Los Angeles and Burlingame, California, to become a somatic experiencing practitioner. She divides her time between South Tyrol, Italy, Peru, U.S., and Canada. Welcome to the program, Martina.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so nice to have you. So you and Dr. Topher are friends and you do some work together. So this is really great because he just last week or possibly the week before is when we will be airing his interviews. So this comes along at a really great time in our little series on plant medicine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit how you began your spiritual path.
Yeah, so I was in the Andes working with the social project, and I was not doing really well in my life. I had many struggles and depression before, eating disorder. I couldn't sleep, and I just really felt really overwhelmed in my life. And I tried many things before. I have been on antidepressants for 5 years or 6 years and therapy, but it was sometimes some relief, but could never help really. And then I could had the opportunity with a really dear friend of mine and mentor. She's Peruvian nurse, Charo. She actually introduced me to the master plant Ayahuasca, which is really beautiful for me to be introduced by a Peruvian friend.
Right.
And that's how it started. And I started my journey, and I realized there were a lot of layers to discover. And so I had the really great opportunity to heal more profoundly with master plants, not only ayahuasca, but in combination with so many master plants from the jungle that are they are really helpful healers, spiritual healers.
Right, medicinal, for them. So were you familiar with these master plants before, since you're from Peru, correct?
No, I was.
Or I'm sorry, Italy.
Yeah, Italy, but I was familiar because I heard about it, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And I didn't know that there were a lot of master plants.
Right.
And that's what I discovered on the way.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your first ayahuasca experience. And I know your brother was involved on this journey also, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was later, because I did my first experience together with my Peruvian friend,
Mm-hmm.
and I had like two ceremonies, and the first ceremony, it felt so familiar, like something I could connect with, something that was so familiar to me, and that was a really nice feeling. Like when I had this feeling, like, oh, this is something I was looking for so long time. And it's like a feeling that many people can describe later when they had their first ceremonies. Sometimes it's like this motherly feeling of the spirit that is so loving, that I could really connect to. And it was very beautiful, and I asked for help, and I didn't know much internally about this, but I just could hear um, messages coming up, insights, and I thought, like, oh, I'm having a conversation. And
Right.
then I realized that was Mother Ayahuasca speaking to me.
Interesting. So was it like downloads?
Yeah, it was kind of a
Yeah.
real conversation. Yeah, like downloads. And
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And I know that you work with the Shapibo
Mm-hmm.
tradition. So
Yeah.
can you tell us? I think it's unique in the sense that it is very much treatment based, individually treatment based, a lot of individual attention. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I learned with the Shapibo tradition, and I trained also under my maestro Ricardo. So I could really learn how it is to take care of um, of a, we call them pasajero, like client in the ceremony.
Right.
So it treatment based means that we really it's really the focus on the intention the of the person who is drinking ayahuasca. So everybody should have an intention when it comes to the healing, and see, okay, these are my blocks, this is what where I feel I cannot move forward in my life, these are my feelings, this is like my fear. And so that's where there is a point where we can kind of connect to. And then the songs are really important in the Shipibo
Hmm.
tradition. The Icaros songs that have been learned through really long-term extent diets with master plants. So the songs come really from the plant energy, and and the shaman channels this plant energy in the song, and then with that song the energies are being moved away. So what is being represented before the shaman, like the person that sits in front of the shaman, um, there is one thing is the intention, where there can be like, this is the starting point where then things are moving, but then layers are coming off, and then there are visions and visual visions or intuitions, and the shaman is then moving off these layers and cleaning them. It's all about cleaning in the Shipibo tradition. They say,
Yes.
like, okay, is there something that is blocking you? We clean it.
Right. Because I know for most, there's some purging in the beginning, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's, vomiting or shaking or crying, or there's a lot of different ways. Did you experience that?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yeah,
Right.
it is. There are so many different ways where, like, yeah, uh, this cleansing process is happening. There can be also even tears. Only yawning is even a cleansing.
Yes.
You know, like when the air is coming out, sweating is possible, and also blowing the nose. And there are like so many different ways that the
Hmm.
body can release these energies.
Right. I know when I had my experience, the yawning was really, it's like, why am I
Yeah.
yawning so much? But there was a lot of kind of uncomfortable
Yes, it's not
also, yeah.
comfortable.
So
It's interesting because I'm sure listeners listening to this want to believe this so badly and want to try to understand it, but it's almost something that you really have to experience. So were you surprised? I mean, you must have been a little bit hesitant when you went in, and I'm sure nervous.
Yeah, so the first time I wasn't, actually, because I didn't really know what I was doing.
Sometimes that's the best way.
I was like, okay, I trust my friend, and there was no discussion about dosage or something.
Right.
Um, and the second time I was more nervous, and that was also when I faced more my own darkness.
Right.
And at the time I didn't have so many tools and knowledge how to face them. So yeah, it is something that you have to experience.
Yes.
I think, to get more an idea of it, but also you can get curious, because I was curious. I felt like this is what I have to do.
Right.
Like, there is a saying in Peru that says, like, la ayahuasca te llama, in Spanish, like the ayahuasca calls you. So if you feel that, and that's kind of then where you feel, okay, I want to try it, because we never know. Every experience is different.
Yes.
With ayahuasca. Still, like, after 10 years for me, it's like every time different.
Yeah.
And then also, I think for the listener, it's great when you inform yourself first, and get a lot of informations and also guidance on how to have maybe a few skills that you can bring into the ceremony, and how you can guide that. And of course, when we work in the center, there is always, like, first of all, we give always an experience, information about personal experience. But then once the person had the experience, you can even go deeper, and then they know more about what it is, so they're more receptible about the tools.
Could you share with us, unless it's too personal, a little bit about what you did experience? And possibly, you mentioned it's nice to have, in the beginning you didn't have the tools and things. It were the tools, or that the learning part of it, did that happen in the ceremony also, that you learned how to kind of deal with that darkness? Or can you just tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was in the whole healing process over the years, as I was then working as a facilitator and translator in the Center Niverao, which was also co-owned by my sister-in-law, Svita. And because I brought my brother then to the healing of ayahuasca, so it's kind of really beautiful that we could do that together. And we spent a lot of time together there while we were dieting. So we were kind of exploring, I got a lot of tools or kind of information when we talk to each other, like with my brother, with my sister-in-law, with Joe, with Ricardo. So that's when I realized, oh, now I understand more. It's like a whole world that you can understand how to navigate, because actually we learned also to have the empowerment to say, like, okay, I encounter my traumas, because that's what I was dealing with. Like, I was really coming to that point where everything was coming on the surface. Like, the memory holds every experiences, and that's what was happening with ayahuasca, where that when you drink, then the experiences, or like the energies of the experience, are coming under the surface.
Right.
And then also with the help, with the master plan and the songs, and also myself, like doing, saying, like, I would like to release that, and like all these different kind of tools that you can learn, that was possible then to encounter. But it's kind of a working process, and after a lot of time that especially with my sister-in-law, we were kind of talking a lot also about our dreams while we were in this process with the master plant diet, where you don't eat salt and just no sugar, no oil, and basically it was only a few lentils, plantain, fish, really plain. And so you really go into the essence of of your being, also because you don't have any distractions.
You're so clean,
Yeah.
right?
And then so, and that's the possibility of it's the healing that happening.
Right. When I had my experience, they ask that we have a very clean diet before we come.
Yes.
And then when we're there, of course, it was 7 days. It was a very, very cleaner than I would have liked. But it was really great, actually. My question is that you, though, offer a plant diet there at the retreat, correct? A week or so before you even do a ceremony to really clean yourself out. Is that right?
Yeah, so that is that was like an optional
Right.
an optional thing, because in the retreat center in Niverau you will have a purgative when you arrive. So that's a purgative that cleanses your stomach from sugar or alcohol, or like really it's like it cleanses your body and prepares you for receiving the medicine.
Right.
So we always said like it can be optional, but what Ricardo is really interested in is after the experience to soften in the world. Like we have all after the diet, like imagine you two after a week that you are not eating tasteful food.
Yes.
You want out and go in there. So that is actually where we are saying then when we have the retreats there, like ease in easily. Don't drink a beer right on top of it, or really French fries, and so.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
That's all like about the guidance and where you are like.
So let's talk about this invisible world and the mystical side of it. Can you just explain that a little bit with us, and not as a facilitator, but more in the sense of when you had your first few experiences?
Yeah, so it is how to explain. So the visions that you encounter in that experience, like they can be in so many different ways. Like they can be visual, really visual, intense, but also when you have an insight, when you have like a communication, when you have like a feeling, when you have memories, that is all what is a vision. So this is all where like there's something coming up. And then this mystical world is just like this feeling the presence. There is something present. And that is a really beautiful feeling.
Yes.
And then I could also feel, oh wow, this presence is in me, and this presence takes care of me and wants to help me. And then in this like world with the master plans, I never thought that I could kind of receive melodies from spirits, but it is possible.
Yes.
It happens and happened, and that is very mystical and very, very beautiful. And everybody has our own personal mystical experience, because I think for me there's like so much, it's about the relationship to the spirit, and that's how you also reach out to the spirit. And if you are like open and it's not always easy to get the messages from the spirit, but this is how you can improve and move forward and grow and learn and heal. And this is just like a really, really great, endless world. But also I feel it always exists. So it always exists right now too. We have that. But with ayahuasca, we have that possibility to tap into it.
Right. Other dimensions.
Exactly. And to have that connection.
Yes.
And that is what also so many people experience or talk about. I feel connection and I feel connected. And that is, I think, the most powerful thing that you can reach in a mystical experiences. Like connection to yourself and connection to others, connection to spirit, connection to see like, okay, we are all connected.
Yes, to the universe. We're all that universal one.
Exactly, this oneness.
Right.
And for many people it's difficult to tap into that, but there is always like a personal path with ayahuasca.
Yes, I've been told that Mother Ayahuasca or grandmother, whichever you call her, gives you what you need.
Exactly. Not always what you want, but
yes. Not always what you want.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your healing. So can you tell us, how did you feel after the first few sessions? And I've been to one retreat, and as wonderful as it was, I'd give it a lot of, well, I'm supposed to go with you in July, but I don't think that's going to happen. But, it would take it took a little bit of courage to decide I was going again, because it's as beautiful it is, it's very difficult.
It is.
So what was it with what happened that made you want to dig deeper and keep going back, and even with some of the difficulty of the journey?
Because it was just getting better. I felt like there is more. And even if it was difficult, I just really felt the other thing is the worst option, like the suffering all the time. So that's what it was. So and also in the beginning I didn't know, how difficult. But then at the beginning, like you said, like when after the first experiences, I thought, okay, this is great. I'm done. Like, thank you. I'm healed.
I'm going back to Italy.
I did. And I was like, la la la, I found this cool thing. And I did it 3 times and check.
So true.
And I said to my brother, you can do it. And then when he was doing more and more and longer, I felt like, I wonder, maybe I need to go there too. So, and that's when I started. And when I noticed, there is something really shifting in my body, in my sensation, in my, like how I felt in life, like in my presence and with my emotions. And then of course there was always a lot of layer, a lot of opportunity to heal, and I got really motivated by it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I felt like that was when I really had this feeling, I want to feel home within myself.
Yes.
So when I had this feeling with the spirit, with ayahuasca, that's familiar, it feels like home, but I want to have that feeling no matter what for myself.
It's kind of like, I want to be the best person I can be, and feel, I know one of my intentions was, I just want to feel pure joy again.
Exactly. Yeah. And having that with you, and that kind of with that, you can encounter the life,
Yes.
I had one experience with ayahuasca during going through my healing. And I was kind of, this is not what I wanted, and how I'm now in the jungle. Like, okay, I just wanted to heal. And I had totally other plans for myself. And now I'm in this jungle here and all the time, and I'm working, and it's great. And then I was like kind of having this discussion with ayahuasca, like saying, yeah, thank you, but can we now fix it like I wanted?
Right, right.
And then ayahuasca just said to me, there was a butterfly flying. I saw a butterfly flying, coming into my heart. And then I heard, open your heart for your own life. And that was so powerful for me.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's actually really true. And then the butterfly like the thing, and then I felt like my heart opening, and then I really could feel, wow, what I have, and this like opportunity to heal and to learn so much, and to do that with my family and my friends there. It's like so great. So that was a really shifting point for me also in my healing. Mm-hmm.
So much gratitude, it sounds like, that you had.
Yes.
Like you were in love with the world again.
Yes.
Yes.
And then slowly you get you become you are falling in love with life and with yourself, because that is actually what is all about in healing, that you reach a point where you can love yourself. So that is not very easy and also not very talked about in society, but actually that's something that happens as a consequence, as a result of, can happen of a healing journey, whatever healing journey that is.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Really magical. So if people come and they don't, we really won't talk about contraindications today, because there definitely are quite a few, and Dr. Tafur and Dr. Rachel Harris talked about those. But if people come and then do some just not, they're just not ready for Mother Ayahuasca and nothing really happens.
Yeah. We had that a lot.
Yeah. Did you encourage them to come back again, or what?
This is also a very personal experience with many other things. Like nothing happens. Oh, Mother Ayahuasca doesn't like me. And I mean, we know also energetically, sometimes we have a lot of energies in our body that are really strong, from experiences, from trauma. And sometimes those don't let the effect open.
Right.
So we explain that too, like Ricardo would always say, when people say that they feel sick, I feel sick, but I get nothing out of it. And he said, like, it's not the ayahuasca. These are your problems that make
right.
So, and it's about that to release. So we had experiences of people were there like for maybe 2 weeks and nothing happened. And we were like cleaning. And then maybe in the last night it opens.
Right.
And they had a really powerful ceremony. But we had also an experience, and that was a really good friend of mine, that she was there for 2 months and nothing happened. Wow. And it was really frustrating. But then she went home, and then all of a sudden her life opened up. So what also we have to think is that there are many ways that this medicine works.
Yes.
It's like so magical, and it's a different wisdom that is there. And sometimes people that can happen, and then sometimes what you said, just people, maybe it was not the right time, but maybe in 2 years they want to try again. So and then maybe it was actually that ayahuasca protected them because they were not ready to had the capacity to do that journey. So there are so many stories, and it's so personal. It's like what I really believe, this relationship with the spirit is so personal. And every healing journey is so personal. Like, it's not that I had like, oh, this trauma, then I cleaned that and then did like like healing is not, it starts not from here and then it finishes here. It's not a line that you walk. There's so many layers. It's more like
peeling
Yeah,
off
like
an
a
onion.
mandala. Yeah,
Yes.
or a mandala, where you like
Mhm.
try to come to the flower in the middle, but then sometimes it throws you back because you have to look into something really deeper and that you haven't been ready to see before. But it's such a personal journey, and I think
Yes.
that is important to know. And
Mhm. You just have to
yeah,
trust the journey. And I know probably almost everyone feels this way when they first go, and it's like, I'm going to be like the 0.01% that nothing happens to,
oh really.
But of course, I had some pretty amazing
Yeah.
experiences. So I know that you talk about the Shapibo tribe and how they, just to talk a little bit about their civilization and about children. And I know, like, when a child is upset or they have something that scares them, that they handle it much differently than we do here in the United States. And that just touched me when I heard you talk about that in an interview. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so Ricardo, my maestro, he brings his family into the ceremony since they were like babies.
Oh my
So they are
gosh.
so used to the ceremony, like they love it. And actually, all the pasajeros, the people that are there, they also love how he does that, because it's like
Right.
one thing that I really like about the Shipibo tradition is that community feeling and the healing in community. Because
Right.
a ceremony is, we are in this all together, everybody experience something different, but it is a community, and you are taken care of, like you have a personal treatment very dedicated to you. And that's what he does with his family. And they don't drink, of course, when they are children, but he cleans them. He's always like cleaning their sleep, their dreams. And sometimes when they have a fight between each other, his children, or they have been like scared or something, or they have been angry, then he brings them into ceremony, they go to sleep, and he sings for them
It's through song.
through
He cleanses
song.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
he cleanses to song. Yeah. In the
Yeah.
Andes, I have the experience that the people are also, when there is a child that got scared and cries a lot, and they have this they have this method with an egg, that they rub an egg on. There's a whole ritual, but they rub an egg on the body that sucks out the energy of the scare, and then they crack it into the water, and then they make a diagnosis around what was not right.
Yes.
But
So
they do it very commonly and very
yeah.
openly. That's their culture. And
That's what's so beautiful about those cultures, is that these children are being given such a gift to grow up, in that kind of mystical,
mhm.
spiritual realm. I remember Dr. Tafur, talking about, he grew up in Colombia, and that's just kind of the way people live there. It's kind of ingrained into the culture, and I'm sure with Peru too. So,
So that's what it is. It's like there's no big deal. It's like you do it like naturally. It's
right.
like naturally. And therefore also I like that they're taking care of their sleep, of the
Yes.
children, like Ricardo would sing to their sleep and to their dream. And because that when they get scared, they call it susto, which is like you get scared that the soul leaves you, so that they bring you back. It's like a soul loss. So they bring back the soul into your body,
Right.
that you're not
Interesting.
fragmented. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
remember when my kids were little and they couldn't sleep, I'd tell them that the sleep angel was there,
Oh,
and that in
nice.
the morning they would, like Western, so they'd get something, but it'd be like a little crystal, or,
Yeah.
just something for their good night's sleep. But
Yeah.
um, so let's talk about a little bit about the importance of the healer, Ricardo. So he is a shaman,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that relationship is really vital. And so can you tell us a little bit about the sort of relationship with the shaman?
Yeah, so the shaman in the Shapibo tradition is very important because he leads the ceremony.
Right.
He drinks the ayahuasca, and he learned the training is really long, and it's really hard because of you have these long diets that you cannot eat and do much.
Right.
But that's when you learn from the plants, and they teach you how the shaman can handle the energies. So because Ricardo, he has to take care of the Maloka, which is the place where the healing, the ceremony takes place. So he will always open the ceremony with a song, prepare himself, clean himself, center himself, and then also always check in energetically to all other people, how they're doing, cleaning the space, that everybody's safe, like energetically. So it's very important that the shaman knows how to handle energies, and also then to give the song, and
Right.
to help as much as he can in that moment to clean what is is actually what presents there.
Right.
It's
Right.
like he says, we clean what we see, he says.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And sometimes they'll see it in color or in,
In
in different ways, see
images.
the trauma, yes,
Yeah.
of a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So how does this work hand in hand as being a somatic healer?
Yeah.
How does that interweave with the ayahuasca experience?
Yeah. So I think 4 years ago, I started the training, and that was another cornerstone of my personal healing. And oh, I understand now what's happening in my body. Like it
Right.
kind of came this new awareness about what my nervous system is doing and how my nervous system is reacting on different things. So it was kind of very, very, I'm so grateful for that. Training, and then I realized, oh, this is something that could be really beneficial in combination with the ayahuasca treatment,
Yeah.
because we bring the body into the whole experience. Because sometimes, when you drink ayahuasca with effects, you can also be not so connected to your body.
Right.
Right. So I learned different tools, how you can feel safe, and how you can feel, how you can kind of have containment, or what. So I mean, all the different tools that I learned from the somatic experiencing, I actually bring them into the group retreats, because then I also give um, some lessons, so class, like a
Right.
class,
Right.
where they can kind of really experience how that feels, and even use that in the ceremony. Like when somebody feels overwhelmed and then needs to feel the ground or to touch, like there are like different tools where you can kind of hold and contain yourself. So that's one thing. And then afterwards, it's very useful to, or even before, because I also work a lot in integration, like with people who had ayahuasca experiences. So and there's a lot of story sometimes to integrate,
Right.
from one ceremony, so much happens. So what I am then really interested in that work is kind of to connect that with the body experience, and kind of let that integrate in the body with different tools that you learn in the training. Because the training is that it is a body approached technique. So it is not that you go away from the story, but you kind of don't put so much attention to the story,
Mm-hmm.
but more what the story did in your body and where it is stored in your body. And also you break it up, like an overwhelming story will be like not told in 5 minutes all at once.
Yes.
So that the body has the opportunity to digest that and to
Right.
settle in. And that's actually then really good in the integration work, because then we can continue working, because people face different challenges after a retreat.
Yeah.
You know, like how they can integrate and manifest everything that they learned in their retreat experience in their life. And so I find it really a grateful tool for my work.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It seems to me that all ayahuasca ceremonies should have someone, experienced in that, because it makes sense that the ayahuasca really takes you away from your body. And that's what you wanted, to have these spiritual experiences.
Yes.
And it really distances you from those traumatic experiences, so they don't have so much weight, or they don't cause, all of that hurt and all of that thing. But then again, to integrate it, because you do have to go back to your body.
Exactly. And that's the goal in the healing, not that you are out there somewhere. So that's the connection where everything should come together again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's another important thing, that when you're having this experience, these ayahuasca, it's not as if you're passed out or anything.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Right,
it's like a different state.
Yes.
But what you said is also really interesting, because shamanically, it's really good that we clean the body. We make it like a comfortable space, or like a house where then you can come back to again.
Right.
So that's more that is also one of the goals, that you bring everything together. But yeah, so I think like these tools are really helpful to, in combination with the retreats.
Absolutely. I know Dr. Harris, she talked about how integration, she was talking about it a little bit differently, to see someone that was more of like a psychologist, but to be really sure that person had ayahuasca experience, because if they don't, they could really mess everything up.
Yeah, that is totally true. And there are more people, more psychologists that have that experience.
Have ayahuasca experience.
Yeah. And that they are helping them people with integration.
Right.
And that is true, in my work, like I am not a psychologist, so I would not treat people that need a psychologist. So I would say you better, you recommend. But usually my clients are more people that had an experience with me in a retreat, and then they had not been in that state that they needed.
And like you said, it's so personal. Dr. Harris also said that she feels, as I know you do and I do, that the ritual and the song and all of that is just so, it's vital, especially in the Shapibo tribe. Shapibo is the song is as important, if not more important, than really the drinking of the ayahuasca. And but she said then she's met people who, they don't use the song. They use the song in a different manner, and somebody has an amazing experience. So you're right.
True.
So it goes back to it being very, very personal.
Very personal. And there are many different ways and many with different approaches, for sure.
Right.
And also, like you said, everybody has a different experience with it. I feel like there's an opportunity then for everybody, like, to find out which way or which tradition really suits him.
Right. Well, the Shapibo tribe, I know that's when I went, that's the tradition that they used, and it's magical, the song, the shamans, the support, the help, the energy, just all of it. So are you going to keep doing this?
Good question. I wanted to stop many times. Yes, I will. Now it's part of my life. When I originally started training, it was not my intention. it was just happening. I had also an experience where I could kind of support somebody, and kind of something opened in me where I really felt, okay, this might be possible for me to learn. And then it just happened. And because I was not a singer at all, and for me it was really hard to find my voice, but then it happens, and then I felt like, oh, it feels really good. And then I was curious to explore that more, and then I really feel, okay, there was a reason why this happened for me, this path, because I ended up in the jungle for many years, and now, yes, it's part of my life. It's kind of then in my personal path, in my personal relationship with ayahuasca. I had one experience where I said, I commit to her.
Yes.
And she is part of my life, and I feel I am part of her world.
Yes.
Like everybody who is drinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's involved. Wow. It's such a opportunity for Western civilization to really learn from these experiences. And it's not woo-woo. It's not,
No.
this has been going on since ancient times, this drinking, these master plants, the energy. And now, of course, the scientific community is coming in and showing that too. But I love it when Dr. Topher says, it's great if people want to do, a million double blind studies and this and that. And he said, and it will take, 10 years, but really the proof is in the pudding, if you will. Just see so many people.
And that's actually what always motivated me or us there. Right. Even if it's really hard, like seeing somebody like, oh, wow, changing the course of their lives and like really doing the work and feeling the benefit of it. Like that's the thing. That's why I do it.
Right.
That's why I do it. It's nothing better that like this opens my heart when I see that and when I can witness that. So that is pretty magical.
And it's amazing with the purging and all of that you still want to. I know I keep going back to you still want to keep going back.
But there's also one thing what you said, it's not like to do, it's like really it's not easy.
Yes.
It's not
easy.
It isn't. And it's not romantic, and it's not,
no, it's not.
What so many people think sometimes, like, at least in my tradition, it's like work.
Right.
And I think it's okay that it is like this, and it makes me humble in front of the ayahuasca. Therefore, I told him, for me, it's always different.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember after the second day, I was just so vulnerable. I was just a mess. All I did was cry. And I just remember anybody would start talking to me, I just start crying. It's like, get me out of here. But then I had a wonderful experience. But that's the beauty of it all, is that you're just so vulnerable, and and vulnerability can be a really wonderful thing. You just let people love you and help you, and vice versa. That's what I found anyway.
Yeah. It's what you said, you move through it, right? And you have this experience and you can move through it, and then something else is coming up.
Yes.
And it needs also everything to settle. And what you said, like the next day or also the days in between the ceremonies are so important. They're so crucial. So many things can happen.
Right. So after your first few ceremonies, when you really realized that you were healing, and how was it to go back to the United States or Canada or one of those places that you spend time in, and just to reintegrate kind of with those old friends and the craziness of our world?
Back in that time, I didn't go to USA and Canada. It's like now, because my brother lives in Canada, so I visit. But I go I went home. And I didn't really know how to integrate. I tried to talk to a few people. And I said things and they looked weird.
Yes,
And
yes.
that is actually then my brother, my brother went. And then I had somebody to talk about
Right,
when he
right.
came back. But also he was kind of talking to his friends, and they were a little looking like in a different way, because they could not relate to that experience. And that happened to me too. And especially where I come from, in that place, this is like something really weird. I come from a really traditional region.
Yes.
And so it was not so easy that times. But then I went immediately after that, I kind of left everything and went to Peru. So with my sister-in-law, with my brother and Joe and other people there, and it was the creation of my community.
Right.
Right. And then you have this like something else that bonds you with these people, because they know what you're going through. Like, you don't have to explain yourself so much.
Right.
So
And
therefore I really like that way of healing too, because there's a community that creates, like in the retreats, people, they connect within each other and between them, between each other. And so that is a huge support system as well for everybody.
And thank goodness more and more people are understanding it, experiencing it.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying to me kind of words of wisdom, not kind of, they were definitely words of wisdom, but be very careful who you share your experience with, because people love to muddy the waters or dilute it. And especially if you just have gotten back and you're still feeling, or make you start questioning it. And that was such great advice for me.
It's very important. I didn't have that the first time.
Right.
So that is also what we tell people when they go back. Like, usually now for me, it's like what I did then over the years, I just dropped it and said, like, I work with Amazonian master plans.
Right.
Point. Period. And our retreat center in Peru. And when people were interested, they ask you.
Yeah.
And then they tell you what you want to be about your experience. And then there's a different foundation in the conversation than me explaining something that somebody cannot really reach. And that's what you said. It's so true.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, it is. It's so interesting. You almost know who you can share it with. I mean, everyone still thinks I was just on a yoga retreat, and that's the way I'll keep it, because but there's a couple of people that really wanted to know, and I felt really safe because I knew they wouldn't dilute it, and it was so that's beautiful. But now I do have a friend that went, and so we love to talk to each other, because we know exactly what one another, what we're talking about.
That's so good.
It's always nice to have. Well, we need to wrap it up, but are there any words of wisdom you would like to give our listeners before you go?
I just always like to inspire or give, like, for healing, be an advocate for healing, whatever that means, or whatever path somebody wants to encounter, because I feel it's so worth it, and it's so essential to have a good life quality, because that's what in the end we all want to have, to improve our life quality. So I just want to give some, like, inspirational
well, you're
words.
an inspiration in yourself. I mean, look at you just exude happiness and love. It's really beautiful. And of course, as you well know, there's very many different modalities. This is just one. That's
what I'm saying, like, in general, like, and I think it takes some time to find it. So I also want to encourage for curiosity, and feel, okay, what would be the right thing for somebody that really resonates, because also everybody resonates with different things, and also in the body, and you can notice what is really beneficial. But just not to give up and to be open to try.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And if anybody has questions or they're curious about, you can contact me. Can people contact you, Martina?
Yeah, I have a blog. It's called homewithin.org, where I also write some articles about my experiences, about my healing experiences, and they can also contact me on that.
Great. And on your website, is there information about the retreat center?
No, but they can contact me, and then I send the email. I can send the homepage.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
you also have Modern Spirit podcast, right?
Yeah, so that is the Modern Spirit, the NGO, the group that Joe founded Joe, and
Uh-huh.
that's also a nice homepage to connect.
Great.
It's modernspirit.org,
Mm-hmm.
and there are different podcasts on that. Joe is talking to different people about different kind of healing and healing experiences, and there's one that he did with me and my sister-in-law.
Yes, I listened to that.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, and have a great evening and stay safe. And I'm sure hopefully we'll meet personally in July. I don't think it's going to happen, but if not, it will.
It will in the future.
When it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you, Marla, for having me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening in today. If you want to learn more about the show, you can find us at interviewswithinnocence.com and on Facebook or Instagram at Interviews with Innocence. Please write me a message, tell me what you liked, and let me know what else you would like to hear. I would love to hear from you. And if you liked what you heard, please leave us an iTunes rating and review. It helps other listeners find the show. Thank you.